First of all, let me thank all of you, and I want to thank our chairman and the ranking member for holding this hearing. And we've got to start coming up with some solutions. But as you know, I'm very focused on solutions of a multi-employer pensions crisis. So I was glad to see that Senator McConnell gave us a few extra weeks of time to work this August. We should be staying here on Mondays and Fridays too, but I mean that's a bridge too far. I encourage my colleagues on this committee to use this time to come to the table and seek bipartisan solutions. I would also note that I am very happy to see our brothers and sisters here from United Mine Workers, from my turf, if you will, people I grew up with, and I appreciate the hard work they're doing. I hope they continue to come back, because I can tell you, when you put a face and a human being with a problem that we have, then we can find a solution. You've heard me say it before, and I'll keep saying it. The UMWA 74 Pension Fund is the first that will fail if Congress does not act. And if or when the UMWA fund would fall, and if we don't find a solution, the others will start to tumble. This plan is expected to become insolvent by 2022, possibly even sooner if we see a market downturn and additional coal company bankruptcies, which are not that unlikely. And while the pensions provided by this plan are small, to give you an example of what we're talking about with the UMWA pensions, an average of just $595 a month. $595 a month is what we're talking about for the UMWA. They are critical for retired miners and families who rely on them, and mostly a lot of widows. If this plan goes under, these families and the communities they live in will be devastated. So I hope that today's discussion will demonstrate for everyone exactly what will happen to American businesses and communities, to our poverty services, and to our national economy if these plans fail. But I also hope that all you witnesses will offer us more ways to address the crisis, and we're not putting any blame. But let me make sure you understand. The working person in America, the United Mine Worker, and anybody that's ever done any hard work is not to blame at all. They didn't set their rates of contribution. They didn't set the plan. They weren't there when basically the bankruptcy laws. It was all done usually here in Congress. That we've set basically the slope, if you will, of what would happen, and this is what we're dealing with. They weren't responsible for the 2008 financial crisis. They weren't responsible for the lax oversight of the large banks. None of this was their fault, but they're taking all the hit right now, every one of them. So I'll start with Mr. Langen. What is Plan B, sir? What do we do if we walk away from this? What happens?
Well, as was mentioned earlier in Ms. Moorkamp's testimony, walking away in failure is not an option to this crisis that we face. We've got to figure out a way to stop the cash flow that's going out the back door and stabilize these plans and give them an opportunity to return back to health. Because if we don't do that and we just allow the system to fail, then what's going to happen to the remaining employers is unknown at this point. If a company or a plan is not in, for example, in compliance with the rehabilitation plan, are they now facing funding deficiencies? Are they now going to face a mass exodus out the back door from the employers and the risk of mass withdrawal? If you have a mass withdrawal situation come, contributions stop, accruals stop, and now employers are assessed withdrawal liability, which now is put on their books. You put a liability on your books that's greater than the value of your company, you're never going to be able to get out of this. So letting the system just fail and hoping the PBGC can give a little bit of a benefit is not the answer. We've got to get cash to these plans and figure out a way to pay it back so the taxpayer is protected.
Ms. Wong, if I may ask you, with the reduction of our corporate tax from 35 to 21%, that 14% savings, has it put a hardship on our corporations and businesses now since they have this extra relief? If they do contribute more, I know you all just talked about contributions, but would that put an undue hardship?
Does the tax cut create an undue hardship?
I'm saying if I asked you to give a little bit more back.
Oh, I'm sorry. The tax cut. Well, obviously the tax cut helps with the businesses.
Sure.
Providing.
You never expected to get 21, did you? You'd have taken 25 in a heartbeat.
I won't answer that one.
What we're saying is none of us want to put undue hardships and create more unemployment. But is there enough room in there to help the PPGC? I know there's going to be an awful lot. The only thing I'm asking for has got to be a floor. You can't ask a person a widow getting $595 to take a 20% cut or a 10% cut. And we have to have skin in the game, but there's got to be some, I think, some compassion and some, understanding of the economics we're dealing with here.
I appreciate that. And again, I would reiterate, employers already have skin in the game and have been putting skin in the game. We understand workers and retirees have all been putting skin in the game. So it's not an easy solution, but we are asking that, again, we all have to come to the table and resolve this together.
My time is up, and I'll save it for the second round.